So on the top of the show, I talked about that because of the return of John Cena at Money in the Bank, I was gonna be starting my own little top 10, my own countdown of my top 10 John Cena matches, my personal opinion. Like I said, these are my favorites. These are my own personal opinions. So if you have any suggestions, you can always comment down below. Give me suggestions. Tell me some of your favorites. Maybe you could try and make some guesses on what will be on this list. So like I said, these are my top 10 favorites. Every week I will be giving up my new number. So we start off here at number 10 and we work our way all the way to number 1. And also during that time, I'll also be doing honorable mentions list. So I'll do some honorable mentions that unfortunately did not make the top 10 list. So when I did this top 10 list, I knew what my number 1 would be, but there were so many other matches I forgot I had to put on this list, and some I had to unfortunately take out. So I might mention that on my honorable mentions, and you might take a few guesses. But yeah, so I want to inform everybody right now. Like I said, this is just my own personal opinion. This is not a factual list. This is like a WWE list or anything like that. This is my own personal opinion list on my top 10 CM matches I think are the best. And like I said, everyone's going to have different opinions. And there's some John Cena matches I haven't even seen. Like, I have not seen the Shawn Michaels one from Raw, that infamous one, where it was like almost an hour. And I heard a lot of rave reviews about that. So eventually I will have to watch that one. But as of right now, it's just I've not got a chance to check that one out. So that unfortunately will not make the list. That's the one minor spoiler for this list. But we're going to go ahead and kick off with number 10 and work our way up. So starting number 10 for this week of my favorite John Cena matches was a match that happened in 2009 at Bragging Rights. It was John Cena challenging Randy Orton for the WWE Championship and an anything goes Iron Man match. Now, a lot of people, if you know me very well, you all know I do not like Randy Orton and John Cena matches. I think those two just never had any great chemistry. Their matches are very bland, very plotting, predictable, and they just never had good chemistry. And in 2009, that's when they really were doing the whole hot potato with the title with John Cena and Randy Orton. It was ridiculous. The first half of the year was all about Triple H and Randy Orton. Now, in the beginning of 2009, the Royal Rumble, Randy Orton won the Rumble. So he main evented against Triple H at WrestleMania 25, which was horrible because one, the match sucked, and two, they would never come close to having that great match with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker that night. And I think later that year they had a Backlash match for 6-man tag. It was Batista and Shane McMahon with Triple H against Legacy, and if Legacy won, then Randy Orton would become the new WWE champion, which Randy Orton won and became champion. And I think they did a Batista winning the championship after a month, and then he lost it again. But then after that, that was whole John Cena Randy Orton feud. That's when the 2009 feud of Randy Orton and Cena started. And holy shit, those guys just they went on and on and on. It just was criminal. And the weird thing about Randy Orton 2009 was, as a wrestler, this was the starting point, in my opinion, of Randy Orton being very vanilla and just very plotting in terms of wrestling that we know today, where he's just very boring. It's always headlocks. But as a character, he was intriguing. He was the leader of the Legacy. He was punting Vince in the face and kissing Stephanie McMahon and the whole house invasion stuff with him and Triple H. So Orton was a psycho in 2009, which was great, but as a wrestler, he was bland. Now he introduced that with John Cena, who at this time was generic John Cena. He really was just having plotting matches as well. There was nothing really special about him. So I believe their first match started in SummerSlam. And that was the match where there was multiple different finishes, like Randy got himself counted out or disqualified. And it was just Dixie Carter booking, in my opinion. It was TNA booking where it was just overproduced. It was just overdone. It was not necessary. We had that. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Breaking Ground, where it was John Cena, Randy Orton, and I Quit match, which I haven't watched that match in a while, but I heard things that was actually pretty good. But John Cena ended up winning by making Orton say I quit. The following month was Hell in a Cell with John Cena and Randy Orton. And that was one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches I've ever seen in my life. It was fucking boring. But of course, Orton won the title because, hot potato. And then I believe this was their final match, at least in 2009. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was their final match. If I remember correctly. So, here at Bragging Rights, they decided to end this, supposedly. Which is not the case because Orton still had a billion other matches later on. But this was supposedly be the final match for these two in 2009. At least of this feud. And they decided it was going to be an Iron Man match. 60 minutes. Fuck. Like I said, if you saw the Cena Orton matches back in the day, you knew like an hour, this is, oh God, this is meant to be horrible. But what they did interesting was they made it into an anything goes, which meant there was no countouts, no disqualifications, it was false count anywhere. So it was a nice little spin to it. And if Orton won, the Cena would be leaving Raw forever, and he'd probably go to SmackDown. Which probably a lot of people would have loved, Cena back on SmackDown. But these two ended up having a match at Bragging Rights. It was the main event. It was 60 minutes. And like I said, normally a 60-minute match with these two would be horrific. It would be just the drizzling shits. It'd be horrible. In fact, it would not even be in a top 10 list like this. But I enjoy this match. I watch it from time to time. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, there are moments where it's very plotty and there's some slow moments, but they did some stuff that was fun. It was just a fun match. In my opinion, this was easily their best match together, in my book. I believe this was their best match together. This was their peak in terms of wrestling each other. It never got any better than this. I don't remember if this happened at the beginning or later in the show. Legacy come out to try to help Orton win, get some falls, but Kofi Kingston came out to even out the odds, and I think he grabbed the chair and he chased Legacy off. I think that was like towards the end of the match, I believe. But these two just beat the shit out of each other. I think Orton even started bleeding at one point. I think it was Orton or Cena started bleeding at one point. Maybe both of them. I can't remember. But the most famous moments of this match was when Randy Orton was dragging John Cena to the stage. And Orton was over by the pyrotechnics and he accidentally shot off some pyro. And you can see the wheels turning. He got John Cena towards like the pyro entranceway. Like I said, like close to the pyro. And Randy Orton attempted to basically murder John Cena by setting off the pyro, basically burning John Cena alive. And Randy Orton just starts smashing buttons out of fury because he tried activating one of the the buttons said nothing was doing anything. So he just snapped, had anger management little episode there, and he just started pounding away on the control panel, and the pyro went off and nearly killed Cena, but Cena rolled out of the way. That spot is always going to be memorable for me because when I think of that match, that's the first thing that comes to my mind was that little moment there. But basically towards the end, Cena was making a comeback and it came close. Both of them just were beating the piss out of each other. I think it was 4-4. And the last, I think it was like 20 seconds, John Cena wraps the STF on Randy Orton. He tries to put any pressure, which is hysterical because Cena's STF doesn't hurt at all. Especially how you see how he puts it on. Just looks extremely fake. But he puts an STF, and in the last like 5-6 seconds of the match, Randy Orton submits, and John Cena becomes the new WWE champion. And then Randy Orton would go on to bury Kofi Kingston for about 10 years. But this was their final match for a while. I mean, they would occasionally have matches on and off. But in my opinion, this was by far their best match. And like I said, it's just a great match. It's just a lot of fun. And like I said, it includes John Cena. So, I had to put this on the list. This was one of those matches I was thinking of take off the list, but I was just like, I'm going to put it number 10. It was just, like I said, it was a lot of fun. It was brutal for a PG match. Like I said, for an hour, you would think this type of match would be just the biggest horror show in the world for all the wrong reasons, but instead it was entertaining. There was some moments in there that was great. There was some innovative stuff, and Randy Orton was, in terms of character-wise, it was just at its peak with this whole Psycho Orton stuff. And of course, Cena being Super Cena, but again, both men deserve credit. They were great. It was one of the better matches of 2009 at that time. Even 2009, I don't think was. I don't remember being that bad of a year. But like I said, it was Triple H and Orton, and then Cena Orton the later years. It was just repetitive, and of course the constant, title switching, like hot potato with the title. One minute it was on Triple H, and then it's on Orton, then it's on Batista, then it's back on Orton, then it's back on Cena, then it's back on Orton, then it's back on Cena. It got repetitive during that year. But this match, in my opinion, was their best match they had. And that's kind of why this is number 10 on my personal list.